if you're focused and dedicated, you will make it happen. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do what I have to do just to get where I want to go. So I'm working hard. I'm pushing. I'm doing the things, and I will continue to do the things. I will continue to make the content. I will continue to come up with a business idea, fail, restructure the business, fail, pivot, fail. Then I will continue to do so. I'll continue to bring people on. I'll continue to put the ideas out there boldly. I will continue to fail massively and publicly over and over again until eventually I win. Because you will stumble, you will have missteps. You will have times when you're not having the energy, you're procrastinating, you don't feel dedicated. There will be times when you don't feel like you're firing from all cylinders. You feel like you're leaving shit in the tank. You feel like your time could be better spent doing something else. You feel like um, you know not necessarily for long periods of time. For me, does it happen that I feel like, oh man, maybe I should just give it up, just get a regular job, whatever, right? But that's not really a thought that stays in my head for very long, for very long or very often. But we're not all built the same. But even if you do have those thoughts, you can win anyway. You can still continue to do what it takes and win anyway. That's the thing, is that I feel like people have romanticized perfection so much. People have romanticized the the ball dropping much sooner than it usually does, or than it regularly would, all throughout history. And I'm saying it is a very different time now. It is a time when people can succeed overnight, but it's also a time when that has happened all throughout history, but it's now that it is coming to light when, for example, people do that. There have been um, the the phenoms all throughout history. Freaking Mozart was making crazy music by the time he was 16. 16 odd. He was already doing crazy stuff in the music industry as it was known at that time. So the point that I'm trying to get to is, regardless of when you start, regardless of how difficult the path may be or may seem, at the end of the day, if you focus and dedicate. Now, this does come with something where someone said, if you're 100% focused and dedicated, you will achieve it. Now, I'm saying you don't even need 100%. Realistically, if you want me to be completely honest, you don't even need 100%, because like I said, there are many times that you'll never read about, you'll never hear about, outside of this that we're having now, when I wasn't on the money, I wasn't on the ball. um, I was distracted by women. I was distracted by, wanting to be the guy who goes out, is out there, doing this, doing that, wearing that, looking a certain way, portraying a certain image. I was that guy who wanted to be that and do those things, and I will be again in the future. I will, like, go on stupid side tangents. I will do certain things that are not necessarily conducive to the growth of the one thing, but that one thing will still continue to flourish and grow incredibly and grow incredibly because of what it is being put into it at the end of the day, and the purity uh, and consistency of how often it is being put in. Um, every video is a video. Every second poured into it is a second poured into it. Every moment of time editing is a moment of time edit. Like, everything that you do towards it is being done. Does that make sense? In that moment in time. And I think people really, they recognize um, the work that goes into things without necessarily recognizing it. I'll make it make sense. The reason why, um, when I started out, it wasn't as um, not just popular, because I mean, I'm not really doing crazy numbers now even. But the reason why in the beginning there is nothing in it The reason why there's no super high level of attention, super high level of retention of attention, is because people can tell that you are an amateur at this. You are in the beginning phases. There is no studio, there's no equipment, there's no. So there's kind of an element of you're not dedicated to you. So why would I dedicate to you? You're not invested in you. So why would I invest in you? And then when you start, dedicating yourself to, you get some sort of camera work going, you get some sort of lighting going, you get some sort of sound going, and by that time you've actually been doing this thing repetitively, um, for a decent enough time that you start to develop skills, you start to develop ways of speaking, you start to develop, um, not necessarily just a confidence in expressing yourself, but an ability to articulate at that level to camera by yourself. Because the charisma for me personally is something that's always existed. But watching back at my much earlier videos, I find that I'm not expressing myself in the way that I know that I can, because I'm just not used to, I'm not recognizing, how hollow or shallow the expression is, because at the end of the day, this person is not here with me. They can't sense my internal energy. And so I need to express it outwardly more and better, So that's just one example. In my business, you could say the same thing. If I'm just one guy who has this vision and dream, and there's nothing in it. By nothing in it, I mean it's how much time have you put into this? Because when you put time into things, you get things out. I guarantee you that I guarantee you. I can put my life on it. You could be the worst person at this thing. If you put and dedicate time into it, you will get something out. You can have the worst genetics for bodybuilding in the world. If you consistently eat, train, and sleep, make sure your sleep hygiene's good, you make sure your water intake's always good. If you consistently do like just the core things of that activity, even if you don't have the most developed physique with all the details and grainy condition and whatever, when you look at a man who's put time and focus and poured his heart into something, you can see it. You know, Eric Thomas was the one who said, "I ought to be able to tell what you're doing without you saying one word. You ought to be able to walk into your room and from your ethos, I ought to be able to tell that you're putting the work in and you're focused and dedicated on your craft. Without you saying one word, from your ethos, from the energy that is oozing from you, you can tell that this person does it." A lot of people talk about it. He doesn't even need to say a word. From the way that he's walking into the situation, he actually does this. You know what I'm saying? For a living. And for a living doesn't necessarily mean, oh, he's making his money doing it. No, like his life force, his life energy is dedicated to doing this thing as well. And I said something the other day that I thought was really, really important and very much worth touching on. I wish I am going to create, a video of it on its own. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I'll touch on it now. Which is, damn. And the thing that sucks is no one's gonna see this, but I'm sure a short's gonna come from it. People are gonna see the short at least. When you are gifted in something, you don't necessarily have to make that your bread and butter. You don't necessarily have to make that, your mainstay, the main thing that you're dedicating your life to. But when you are gifted in something, do not neglect that gift, because to neglect the gift is to neglect God, is to neglect something that God has given you, and you are not going to reap the benefits of just the experience of being incredible at something. It does something to you, it does something for you when you're just incredible at a thing. You know, I'm not a bodybuilder by any stretch of the imagination. I have no interest in athletically pursuing something that is going to do. Like, do you get what I'm trying to say? That's as in That's not the main thing. It's not even close to the main thing. The main thing is business. Secondary to that is building the personal brand because that enhances the business. Third to that is developing myself, and that does come with the physique, you know. And if that so happens to create some sort of situation where there's not necessarily monetary gain from it, but there's authority to be gained from it. There is a physical representation of the mindset that we talk of. Again, that walking into a room and you know that a person's about it, there's that element of it. So, and my point with that is this: I'm incredibly strong, ridiculously strong. I'm about 72 kgs now, comfortably rowing. There's videos. You could go on the shorts and you could scroll up there. There are videos. Comfortably rowing 100 kgs full, like just reps, just making it look easy. The only limiting factor is my grip strength at this moment in time. If I had straps, I could easily get 15, 20 reps with 100 kgs at 70 something, you know. That 70 something doesn't look like 70 something. Again, there are videos out there. If you can go on the shorts, if you go on my Instagram, you can find these things are true, that there is a genetic gift physically that I possess, not just aesthetically but also in the strength department. And at first, within the first phases of my life, so that's 0 to about 14, no sports, nothing. Now 14, I started to discover this thing called rugby, and that I could be good at it. I developed myself. 16, I step into a gym for the first time, and that's when I start to blow up, and my physique starts to show its superiority and ability to develop, muscularity very quickly, much quicker than other people too. But the strength just skyrockets even further than the physique even does, um, and so on and so forth. And so that becomes something that is sort of a focal point for me, because I'm not used to that. I've been relatively smart my whole life, right? I've been relatively articulate my whole life. I've been able to write about chess player who beat multiple provincial chess players, like people who represented the province. Yeah, I beat them in my uh, first couple bouts as a chess player. I just used to play whatever chess on my dad's old laptop, and that's my only chess experience that I had. And we went on tournaments, and I was just cooking, guys. I was just beating people. So that's not something that was foreign to me. The concept of like, oh, you have this ability cognitively. So when I discovered that the physical was also something that could go incredibly to a level that people can't go to, I fixated on that for a while. But then now that I'm pulling back and I decided to focus on, the business first and the personal brand and the things that actually have more leverage to them, the things that have more, that you can create more arbitrage, whether it be quote unquote artificially or however you want to think about it. But in the world today, it makes more sense to be focused on those things and to be focused on the physical. It just pays better. And so also it lasts longer. That this, hopefully, well, not even hopefully, this will definitely last you a lot longer than the physical body will, in terms of being able to push it. However, in that process, there was a time where I considered just dropping the physical, just dropping, just not really going to the gym, just taking that time back and reinvesting it into the business and the personal brand and whatever. And something within me stood up and said, no, no. you know this is a part of you, this is a gift that you have, and to give anything less than your best is to sacrifice the gift. To not give a part of yourself to your gift is to sacrifice the gift. It's almost to spit in God's face and be ungrateful for that gift if you don't nurture it. So that's why I believe that self-development is the ultimate love letter to God, the ultimate love letter to your parents, the ultimate love letter to the people who died across the centuries, sacrificing, um, that allowed you, their willpower and their will to live is what allows you to exist today. And so you honor them by showing the world how great you can be, and by extension, how great they can be when they honor those parts of themselves, you know? Yeah. And so to cap it all off, um, yeah, to cap it all off, this was just me getting stuff off my chest. This video, that's what I'm noticing here. Um, it is not the critic that counts, but the man in the arena. Mm. It is not the critic that counts. It's the man who points out okay. It's not the critic that counts. It's not the man who points out how a strong man stumbles, where the doer of deeds could have done it differently. The credit belongs to the person who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred with sweat and dust and blood, who strives valiant, a man who comes up short again and again and again, who in the end may know the triumph of high achievement, and who, when he fails, he does so daring greatly. It is not the critic that counts. So, on this, when you apply everything that we've talked about in today's video, you will be criticized heavily. You'll be criticized heavily. You know, people will talk about, man, you know, don't do this. It's weird. It's cringe. Everything's cringe until it works. You know, being in the gym, being that skinny guy in the gym, pushing the weights, 16, 16, first time stepping into a weight room. You know, I hit the push-ups, the homework. You have your little cuts here and there, and you're freaking, yeah. You're like, man, so jacked. You know, that first year, you're the biggest you'll ever, like, you'll feel the biggest that you'll ever feel in your life, because thereafter you actually realize the levels that there are to this. But before you realize the levels, you think that you're destined to be the biggest person ever to live, right? And so you get in there, you see the cuts, you're like, and there will be people who are like, yeah, who does this guy think he is? You know, and you don't have it physically to be able to kind of show, or you get what I'm trying to say, to kind of express what it is that you have, that you're bringing, you know, because it doesn't exist yet, but you see it, they don't see it. So you have to see it when nobody else sees it. You have to believe it when you can't see it. You know, you will be criticized, is my point. Uh, when you're in that stage of self development, of honing in on that gift, when you are in that space of dedicating yourself, when you're in that space of doing what it is that you said you were going to do, there will be people outside of the arena. People in the arena rarely ever criticize. If a person in the arena criticizes you, take that with a Himalayan pillar of salt, because that may mean that you are striving towards what they either neglected, had strived towards, and failed. But there's definitely something about themselves that they are projecting onto you. Nonetheless, more often than not, also hate comes from below. I said this a long time ago. It turns out it was something that already existed in the world. Great person once said, everything worth saying has already been said, but we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. So we should say those things again. Hate comes from below. No one doing better than you can hate you. No one doing better than you um, can. No one doing better than you would look down on you. Whether you understand it or not, the person that is hating on you sees something in you that is superior to what is in them, or that they have given up on within themselves that you have not given up on and you refuse to give up on. And so, in that, even though you may be at the bottom of the totem pole and they may be at the top, in just that act alone, you are exposing their insecurity. I digress. It's not the critic that counts. It's not the person who isn't marred with blood and sweat who counts. It is he who continuously picks it up, keeps going, keeps trying. It is he who knows blood and vision and victory. When the blood is spilt, the vision is being worked towards, one day the victory will come. If you didn't find enjoy the video, please hit that subscribe button. I have been Sage, standing on business. Signing out.